The guild's ledger hall on Colvane was a long room with bad light. Benches bolted in rows, a slate board at the front, a clerk on a stool beside it, 40 lots posted that morning. The air smelled of solder and wet coats. Nobody in the trade called it an auction, it was a posting. The guild found things and wrote down what it had found, and crews put prices against the writing. Remo sat at the back with his slate on his knee. Sarn stood because the benches were not built for 7 feet of Keswick. Trent had come along and had not said anything in 20 minutes, which was new. The clerk read the lots in the same voice throughout.
Lot 9. Tug, Farron Hull, 41 years. Engine spaces flooded and refrozen. 3 aboard at loss, recovered, released to family. Scrap estimate 400 tons.
The clerk said. A tag went up 2 benches ahead. A number was called. The clerk wrote it and moved on.
Lot 10, or scow. Spine cracked amidships. Cargo intact and worthless. 600 tons of hull. Nothing rated above common.
The clerk said. That was how the room worked. The dead came off the top of the description and out of the price, and after that the thing was tonnage and range and condition. Nobody in the room was cruel about it. Cruelty took time. Remo priced 11 lots and let all 11 go. Sarn did not ask him about one of them.
Lot 22.
The clerk said.
Bulkwaller Bellwether registered out of Astra Reach. Misfolded 8 years ago on a charted run, cause filed as drive timing fault. Located drifting by guild survey 9 months back.
The noise in the room changed a little.
Hull intact, no breach logged. Power dead throughout. No survivors and no remains recovered. Cargo manifest sealed at departure and unbroken on inspection.
The clerk said. The clerk turned the slate over.
Position filed and warranted. Range from Colvane 1 fold and 11 days of burn on the far side.
She said. Then the room did its arithmetic, and the room went quiet. It was not the quiet of interest. Crews read the range and put their tags back inside their coats. A woman 2 rows up had been bidding all morning. She looked at the board and shook her head once. She did not raise anything again for the rest of the session. 11 days on the far side of a fold was the ragged edge of what a hold could pay for. Past that edge, the fuel ate the haul. You came home having done free work in a dangerous place, and a sealed manifest was a bet on paperwork. You paid for the label and hoped the crate agreed with it. The guild took its cut off the top either way. That was the arrangement, and everyone in the room had signed it. The guild found the wrecks, warranted where they were, brokered the claim and logged what came back. It did not fold out to any of them. It had never once had to be right about what was in a hold. Sarn did not look at the board. He looked down at Remo, and when he spoke it was in full, every word set where it could not be mistaken.
Tell me 2 things. Can we reach it and hold station there long enough to work it properly? And can we come home with the hold full enough that the going was worth it?
Sarn said. Remo finished the column before he answered. He ran it twice because it was close, and the second run came out where the first one had.
The range is bad and the price is low for the same reason.
Remo said. The translator boxed it flat. 1 note, no music in it at all.
Reachable, workable. The margin lives entirely in the manifest. Every line on it has to be real. If it is honest, we clear. If it is not, we have bought 11 days of nothing.
Sarn took that and stood with it for a moment. Then he raised one hand, not high.
DeadLight. Berth 40.
Sarn said.
4,000.
The clerk said.
4,000 once.
Nobody moved. Trent's head came up and went along the benches, all those crews sitting on their hands, and he did not say the thing he would have said a month ago.
4,000 twice. Sold to the DeadLight, berth 40, claim opens on payment.
The clerk said. She wrote it down and did not look up.
The guild warrants the filed position and the condition of the hull. The guild does not warrant the manifest,
she said. Remo copied that last sentence onto his slate, word for word, and ruled a line under it.
Heard,
Sarn said. Outside, the docks turned and the lamps came up for third shift. On Remo's slate, the Bellwether was 4,000 paid, a column of estimates beneath it, and one sentence at the bottom about what the guild would not promise. That was all it was. They took on fuel for 2 days, and that was the part nobody put in the stories. Colvane sold reaction mass by the ton and metered it hot. A feed line came up through the belly plates and the ship drank for 40 hours. Every hour of it was money going into a tank to be thrown out the back of her later. The lot had cost 4,000. The fuel cost more than 3 times that, and it was not close. That was the shape of the trade, and nobody in it found it strange. A ship burning out to the fold limit carries mostly the fuel she needs to carry the fuel. It is a man walking into a desert with his own water, drinking most of it to move the rest. What you sell at the far end is whatever was left over. Remo put it in figures instead. 81% of the outlay on this run was distance. The wreck was the cheapest thing they were buying. On the second evening, Sarn brought the crew to the galley table.
Say the number in front of everyone.
Sarn said,
I want every hand aboard to know exactly what this week costs before we are out past the lamps.
31,200.
Remo said.
Lot, fuel, the guild's cut, and the days. Above it we are paid, below it we are paying to work. There is no third thing.
Nobody wrote it down. Everybody had it. It came to about 900 tons of common hull cut, rigged, stowed, hauled home. Or it came to one good crate off the manifest, if the manifest was honest about what was inside it. Those were the 2 ways it went. Trent worked it under his breath the way he worked everything down to the per-share figure. He got there and stopped and did not announce it. A month ago he would have announced it twice.
Then we'd best not be slow about it, hun,
Sable said, and went back to her coffee.
For the record, we are carrying 1,100 tons of fuel and just under a ton of crew.
Cricket said, out of the walls.
The fuel is the cargo, midshipman. You are ballast.
The bench along the galley wall had lockers under it. Dell's bag was still in the third one, 4 weeks on, stowed the way he had left it. Nobody aboard had been the one to send it home. Nobody mentioned that either. Trent reached past it for his own kit. He said something bright about the fuel bill in the old voice. It went out into the room, and nothing came back to meet it. Sable let one beat go by and asked him to pass her the flask. He passed her the flask. Sarn said they would leave on the third morning, and they did. Remo carried the mass figures for the whole ship on his slate. The bag was in them. 41 pounds, stowed and carried and earning nothing. He did not mention it. They dropped from berth 40 a little after the shift bell.
Take us out to the fold limit at 1 gravity and hold it there,
Sarn said.
Do not make up time. I would rather arrive late with fuel in the tanks than early without it.
Remo did not answer him. He put them on the burn, and down became the engines, and stayed the engines for 8 days. Somewhere in the first of them, Ofa came up into the flight cabin. She did not ask permission because she was not going to speak. She came along the deck on all her legs and settled at the foot of the pilot's chair. It was warm under the console there, where the boards ran hot. She arranged herself by degrees until she fit. Remo did not look down and did not take his hands off the panels. He did not tell her to go. They stayed like that most of a watch. He flew and she rested against the chair leg, and neither of them said one word, and it suited them both. The burn ran its 8 days. The drive note lived in the deck plates and in the teeth, and after a while it stopped being a sound. Sable ran a burn-in on a joint she did not trust. Trent slept better than he had the first week, and worse than he said. Cricket kept the ship's small counts and offered them to nobody. It was a competent week and an ordinary one. The work got done on time and the talk over it ran thinner than it used to. Nobody remarked on that. Crews are quieter after, or they are not, and this one was. Remo flew and ate at his station and did not initiate a conversation in 8 days. At the limit they cut the torch and went to the float. The drive took 9 hours to charge. Then Colvain's lamp was one more star behind them, and not a bright one. Remo kept the column open on the slate beside his hand. It did not move while they flew. The whole of it was already spent, the lot, the fuel, the days, spent before any of them had laid eyes on the ship they had bought. Everything after this was them trying to get it back. They came up on her slow with the lamps down. That was how you came up on anything that size. The Bellwether was a bulk hauler, and she looked it. 2 kilometers of spine, with the cargo cans slung off it in rows, a reactor block at one end and a crew block at the other. Nothing on her had been built to be looked at. Her hull was scoured gray and worn past reading. There were no lights anywhere along her. Remo flew the survey pass himself, 4 limbs on the boards, 2 folded, the DeadLight walking her nose down the hauler's flank at a crawl. He put the wreck across every screen he had and read her the way he read weather.
"Hull's whole,"
Trent said behind him, quieter than he used to say things.
"Whole ship just sitting there."
They are usually whole,
Remo said.
You will want the drive record before anyone gets excited.
Cricket said.
It is a short read, it is not a mystery.
Sable had it up on the aft panel already, the Guild inquiry file that had come stapled to the lot. She read it out flat, the way she read a parts list.
Fold through her long,
She said.
charted point was Harrow Reach. She came out 51 AU past it, out in the nothing with the drive spent and no charge left in her to make a second jump.
That is a bad day.
Remo said.
It gets ordinary from there, hun.
Sable scrolled it.
Emergence transient came through the main bus, and the buffers didn't catch it. Capacitor bank was 9 days past service. Guild found the work order on file, signed off, never done. Bus went down and took the reactor's relight with it. No power, no scrubbers, no torch.
How long?
Sarn said.
4 days of air in the block, give or take. Nearest hull that could have come for him was 11 days out.
Nobody said anything for a moment. There was no more to the file. A drive that threw long, a part nobody replaced, and a distance that did not care about either one. Remo had flown 11 years, and he had heard this file a dozen times with different names on it. He put them alongside at 40 meters and set the anchors. 3 shots, the way he liked them, 2 on the spine, 1 aft of the loading throat. He felt each hard point punch in and bite through the deck under his feet. The lines paid out and drew taut, and he trimmed the tension until the DeadLight sat still against the hauler on 3 straight lines instead of her engines. No burn, no mass spent. Holding position for free was the only free thing in the trade.
Anchors are set and holding,
He said.
I am not spending fuel to stand here.
Sarn came up behind him and looked at the tension reads for a while, and then said his piece the way he said anything that could get a crew killed if it were misheard.
We bored through the loading throat, not the crew block.
Sarn said.
Trent and Sable on the first crossing. Ofa runs the low spaces and reports what she finds before anyone follows her in. Lamps at the low setting. Nothing powered aboard that we do not have to power. If a line goes slack, everyone stops moving and says so out loud.
They crossed on the guideline, and Remo stayed with his ship, which was the arrangement and had always been. He worked the boards and listened to them work. Sable talked her way through the throat seals. Trent counted the frames aloud as they went in, and did not embellish any of them. Somewhere past the 4th frame, Ofa's voice came through, clear and precise and entirely calm. She reported a crawl run choked with 8 years of drifted grit, and gave the exact width of the gap she had gotten through.
They kept her clean.
Sable said, 40 minutes in.
Whoever ran this boat, they ran her right up to the minute they didn't.
Say what you see.
Sarn said.
Mugs still in its holder on the mess table. Somebody's shift rota posted by the hatch. Week of the 9th, 3 names on it. Laundry chit under a magnet.
A pause on the link.
Ordinary as a kitchen.
"Aft crew block reads sealed.
Trent said.
Hatch is dogged from the inside."
Leave it sealed.
Sarn said.
The Guild recovers them. It is on the lot sheet, and it is not our work. Log the hatch and move forward.
They logged it and moved forward. Remo watched the anchor tensions hold. Thinking about the hatch changed nothing on any panel in front of him, so he did not. It was Trent who found the recorder, still seated in its cradle by the mess table, with charge enough left in its own little cell to play what was on it.
Last entries dated the day the file says,
He said.
You want it?
Play it.
Sarn said. The link filled with a man's voice, 8 years old, warm and mid-routine and utterly bored of his own job.
And I've got Petrie on the number 3 scrubber the back half of the week, which he'll complain about. And he can complain about it to the duty board.
Nothing. Not cut. Not garbled. The recording simply had no more of him on it. Remo sat with that in his ears and watched the tension reads.
Recorder lost power with the bus.
Sable said after a while, plain and unhurried.
Same second as everything else. Wasn't anything happening to him yet, hun. He just didn't know it had.
He had 4 days after that.
Cricket said.
The recording is the part of it we get to hear.
Nobody had anything to add. They went on down the spine. The manifest went wrong at the second cargo tier.
Bay 6 is empty.
Trent said.
Bay 7's empty, doors are open and racked back.
Read me the tier.
Sarn said.
Alloy stock, refined 400 tons across both. That's what the sheet says.
Sheet's stale.
Sable said. Remo pulled the lot sheet onto his own screen and set it beside the survey he had flown 20 minutes earlier. Then he did the thing he had already half done in his head on the pass. He put the wreck's flank back up and walked his own images down her hull, frame by frame, until he found what he was looking for. Old anchor scars, 3 of them, punched into the plating 100 meters up spine from where his own lines were biting now, weathered at the edges. Not fresh, not 8 years old either.
Someone was here before us,
He said.
3 anchors, set for a long working, 2 years old, perhaps 3.
Guild's got no visit logged on this lot.
Sable said.
No,
Remo said.
they would not.
He heard Trent start to say something and stop.
Unlogged salvage is only theft if somebody writes it down, Quartermaster.
Cricket said.
Nobody wrote it down.
Somebody's been through the near rows already.
Sable said.
Left us the back 40.
That was it exactly. A quiet crew, no filing, no fee, in and out with whatever stood nearest the doors, refined alloy in the outer bays, the powered gear, the drive spares, all of it light, all of it clean, all of it one crossing from a hatch. Remo ran it. He ran it twice, because the first pass gave him an answer he intended to be sure of before he said it out loud.
61% of the posted tonnage is not aboard.
He said.
What remains at the posted rate clears 80% of the number. That is a loss.
So we're done.
Trent said. There was no fight in it. He was just saying the arithmetic out loud the way he did.
No.
Remo said. He put the deep tiers up on the boards and looked at the mast table beside them.
They did not take the shielding stock. 11 frames in, low in the spine, behind dead loading gear. Sintered blanks, 90-ton lots. It prices at 2.5 times alloy.
Because nobody sane pulls it by hand?
Sable said.
Yes.
A pause. One note.
The good meat is far from the door.
Sarn said nothing for a moment. On the link, out in the cold, Remo could hear Ofa moving somewhere in the low spaces, small and busy and entirely untroubled.
How deep?
Sarn said.
11 frames. Every frame is anchors, lines, and hours. The hours cost fuel.
Remo did not look up from the boards.
4 lots clears the number 6 lots pays us.
6.
Sarn said.
6.
Sarn considered it the way he considered everything once and completely.
We go deeper,
He said.
Nobody works a frame alone, and nobody carries a load past a slack line. We do it slow, and we do it all the way in.
That was the whole of the decision. Nobody called it brave, because it was not. It was a number that did not work, and a second number that did, and 11 frames of dead ship lying between them. Remo trimmed the anchor tension a half turn and went back to holding station. Remo had the Bellwether on one panel and the ledger on another, and he moved numbers between them without looking at his hands. The bottom third of the manifest was still unskimmed, heavy stock, badly placed, 4 decks down past a collapsed hold. It would take 2 days and both winches, 38,700 gross, if it was all there, against the number. He wrote 7,500 in the clear column and left it there, unremarked, while Sable's voice came up the line from the wreck about a hatch that wanted cutting. Then the plot chimed.
There's a fold signature at 900 kilometers.
Cricket said.
It is a ship. I mention it because ships out here are rare, and this one is close.
Show me,
Sarn said. She came out of the fold clean and slow, and she was small. A hauler 2 classes under the DeadLight, with a rig on her spine that had been rebuilt at least twice. Her 2 anchor drums did not match each other. Her running lights were the old amber kind that nobody sold anymore. She held off the wreck at a polite distance and did not close.
That's a working boat,
Trent said, and there was no edge in it.
Somebody's been keeping her alive with their hands.
Long odds.
Cricket said.
Registered out of coal vein, guild-listed, current on dues, no liens. Her last 4 jobs were all small.
The hail came before anyone asked for it.
DeadLight, this is the long odds, Ernie Grother speaking, and I'll say up front I'm not out here to ruin anybody's day.
The voice was worn through in places. A man who talked while he worked and had done it for a long time.
I've got a guild tag on this hull, lot 4411, the Bellwether, paid and stamped. I'm looking at your anchors on her spine, and I'd guess you're about to tell me you've got one too.
we do.
Sarn said.
It was bought in the coal vein hall 9 days ago. We have the stamp and the recording of the sale.
Then one of us has been sold weather.
Grother said.
Send it over. I'll send mine. I'd rather find out fast than be polite about it.
Cricket had both filings open before Sarn finished agreeing.
Both are genuine.
She said.
Lot 4411 was posted on the 9th and sold to us. It was posted again on the 11th in the Farron Hall and sold to him. The second posting does not reference the first. A clerk's hand made both entries.
So they sold the same corpse twice,
Trent said.
They sold it twice.
Cricket said.
The guild will be embarrassed in about 9 days.
Remo did not look up. He opened a third panel and started the burn plot. Grother came back on the line and he was already talking, and it took a moment to understand that he was not talking to them.
Which is 4,002 for the tag, and the fold-in, that's 11,600. And I'm not getting the 11,600 back whichever way this goes.
Grother said. There was a pause, and the sound of a man shifting in an old chair.
Sorry. I do that out loud. There's nobody aboard who does it for me,
he said.
How many aboard?
Sarn said.
3, counting me. Was 4, till a winch line took Pell's hand and he took the settlement.
Grother let that sit for exactly as long as it needed and no longer.
I'm not going to fight you over this, Captain. I want to say that plainly, since we're both looking at each other's hulls. I've got no interest in anything that ends with paperwork about people.
Neither do I,
Sarn said.
Nobody boards, nobody cuts, nobody sets a hard point on that hull until the guild says whose it is. I want that set in full on this channel so that there is no version of it we can argue about later.
Said and agreed.
Grother said.
In full.
Sable's voice cut in from inside the wreck, dry as dust.
Captain, this freeze, that means our anchors too, don't it?
It does.
Cricket said.
A disputed lot may carry no hard points from either claimant. Ours have been on her spine for 6 hours. The clock on that started when his claim registered.
Then we're coming off her.
Sable said.
Well, ain't that a fine morning?
Sarn gave the order the long way, every word complete, the way he gave anything that could get someone killed if it were heard wrong. Crew off the hull first, on the guideline one at a time, then the lines slacked, then the anchors released. Remo brought them off the Bellwether's spine himself, 3 drums paying in, and the DeadLight let go of the only free thing out here. The tension that had held her still for 6 hours went out of the lines. She began immediately to drift. He caught her on thrust, trimmed her to the cheapest attitude the geometry allowed, and put the burn figure on the main panel where the whole cabin could see it. 410 an hour.
That's fuel,
Trent said.
That's just fuel, for sitting.
For not moving?
Remo said.
Moving is cheaper. Not moving costs the most.
900 meters off, the long odds was doing the same arithmetic in the same vacuum, and everyone aboard could see her doing it. Her drives lit in short corrective pulses, old drives, and not efficient ones.
340 an hour on my end,
Grother said, unasked.
which sounds better than yours until you know what I've got in the tank. I'm eating my ride home at about 11% a day. I'd be obliged if the guild were quick.
Cricket.
Sarn said.
The arbitration.
A clerical dispute of this class is heard in the order it is filed.
Cricket said.
The nearest arbiter's hall is Farron, filing, transit, and hearing, earliest ruling in 9 days.
Nobody said anything for a moment. Ofa, coiled small against the base of the console, spoke up clear and careful.
May I say something? 9 days at 410 is more than the ship is worth to us. I am not exaggerating. I did the multiplication twice.
You did it right,
Remo said. 2 hulls, holding still, both paying by the minute to do it. It was a bidding war run backwards. The longer either of them stayed, the less there was to win, and neither of them could leave without handing the other the whole of it. Remo watched the clear column drop by 410, and then by 410 again, and did not say anything at all. They argued about it politely for 11 hours. Grother read the reposting clause aloud, twice, because it was on his side and because he was the kind of man who wanted you to hear the part that beat you. Sable read the first sale precedent back at him. He conceded it. Then he read the clerk's error remedy, which said that, where the guild's own hand made the fault, the later purchaser held. Sable read the priority rule, which said the earlier stamp stood. Both clauses were real. Both were current. They had been written 80 years apart by people who had never met.
That's the trouble,
Grother said.
You're right. I'm also right. There's no third thing in the book that tells 2 right men what to do.
There is,
Sarn said.
it takes 9 days.
It takes 9 days,
Grother agreed.
and I've got 6.
Remo kept the clear column on the panel. Nobody had asked him to, and nobody asked him to take it down. At hour 12 it read 3,400. At hour 15 it read 2,170. He watched it the way he watched a fuel gauge on a long approach, without expression, and without ever once looking away for long. At hour 19 the Bellwether hung out there exactly as she had, silent, intact, holding a fortune 4 decks down that nobody was allowed to touch, and the clear column on Remo's panel went under 0 and kept going. He watched it cross. He did not announce it. Trent did, because he was reading over his shoulder.
That's it, Red. We're paying to be here. We're paying for the privilege of not working.
He put a hand flat on the console and took it off again.
4 weeks ago, that'd be shares.
It is negative 190.
Remo said.
In an hour it is negative 600.
It went sour once, and only once in the 20th hour. Somebody on the long odds, young, tired, and forgetting that a hot mic is a hot mic, said something about fat crews with new drums who could afford to wait out an honest man. Trent was halfway to answering it before he heard his own voice starting.
Cut it,
Sarn said, not loudly. He had never once needed to. The channel went quiet. Then Grother came back on, and his tone had not changed at all, which was its own kind of discipline.
That was mine, and I'll own it,
he said.
He's 19 and he's scared, and I'd rather you heard it from a boy on my boat than from me. It won't happen twice.
It happens on every hull,
Sarn said.
Ours included. We'll consider it unsaid.
Obliged,
Grother said.
I'll tell you what I've got. Since we're being honest, I can hold 20 more hours before my fold home stops being a certainty. After that, I'm not a crew. I'm a problem for somebody else's insurer. I'd like very much not to be that.
Trent turned around in his seat.
Captain, we're rigged better than they are. 2 winches, both drums good. We put everybody in suits and we work double shifts and we're through that collapsed hold and out with the deep stock before he can get his gear down there. Let the guild sort the paper after. He can't match us. He knows he can't.
No,
Sarn said.
They do it to us.
they would not,
Sarn said.
and it does not matter what they would do.
He came forward and put one scarred hand on the back of Remo's chair, and when he spoke again, he spoke in the long way, every word set down complete.
We do not race another crew for a payday. Tired people cut corners, and corners on a 4-deck pull are how a winch line goes across somebody. I have done that arithmetic before. It is not close.
Trent sat back down. He didn't argue it. 4 weeks ago he would have.
Cricket.
Sable said.
What's it look like if we just fold home right now and eat it?
You lose the tag, the fold in, the fold out, and 21 hours of station keeping.
Cricket said.
It is the cheapest of the bad ones. I would not describe it as cheap.
900 meters off. The long odds pulsed her drives again, correcting, burning money to stay exactly where she was. Somewhere behind that patched hull, a tired man was saying his own numbers out loud to nobody. The number on the panel was not a threat. It was weather. It did not care which of the 3 crews out here it happened to, the one that was dead, the one that was poorer, or theirs. Remo watched it go down by 410. Then he cleared the panel and began the arithmetic again from the top. Remo had not stopped running the number. He had run it through the radio lawyering and the filed objections and the 4 hours of nothing after. His hands never left the boards. That was where they lived. The Bellwether sat off the nose, dark and enormous and 8 years cold. The long odds held station past her spine, a smaller hull with a mismatched patch of plate on her flank. 2 ships burning money to look at the same dead one.
Station keeping burn hours 6.
Cricket said.
We are paying rent on a corpse. I mention it for the log.
Nobody answered it. Sarn stood at the back of the flight deck with his arms folded and did not move. Trent had gone quiet an hour ago, which was new this month. The number would not come out. Remo turned it over, and it came out red from every side, and then he stopped asking it the question everyone else was asking. The wreck was not the problem. The wreck was fine. 40% of the manifest weight sat in hold 4, deep and badly placed, behind a frame the misfold had folded shut. The long odds could not reach it. Her rig was old and her arms were short, and she carried 4 hands where the DeadLight carried 5. The rest of the manifest, the upper holds, the cells, the plate, needed no rig at all. It needed 9 days of patient cutting. The DeadLight did not have 9 days. She was a bigger hull with a bigger torch, and she cost more every hour she sat still. The long odds cost almost nothing to hold. That was the whole of it, and it had been sitting there since the first hour, and 2 crews had spent 2 days making the wreck cheaper instead of looking at it. Remo turned in his seat, which he did not often do.
Sarn,
He said.
we sell them our half, all of it. We keep hold 4 entire.
Sarn looked at him for a while. 200 years had taught him to hear a plan out to the end and then decide once.
Say the rest.
Sarn said.
They cut the top for 9 days. We are gone in 2. Nobody pays the arbitration clock. The number comes back green for both hulls.
Sarn was quiet a moment longer. Then he said,
Open the band.
Grother came on inside of 30 seconds, which meant he had been sitting by his own board doing his own arithmetic, the way he had been for 2 days.
Long odds, Grother speaking. Go ahead, DeadLight. I'm listening, though. I'll tell you now my answer hasn't changed since breakfast.
You cannot reach hold 4.
Remo said. There was a pause on the band with a lot of tired man in it.
No.
Grother said.
No, I can't, and I've been not saying that for 2 days, and I'd be obliged if you'd not enjoy it too much.
I am not enjoying it. Hold 4 is 40% of the weight, and it is the only part your rig cannot take. The other 60 is cutting work, 9 days of it. We keep hold 4 entire. Sarn said. We cannot afford 9 days. You can.
Remo let that sit exactly as long as it needed to and no longer.
We sell you our half of the claim. Outright, on the Guild's own paper filed today. You take everything above the frame. We take hold 4 entire, and we are gone.
Grother did not answer straight off. On the band, they could hear him working it out loud. That is what a man does when there is nobody aboard to do it for him. The plate figure, the cell figure, his burn per hour, the 9 days, and then the 9 days again with the arbitration fee off the top.
Hold on. That's better than my best case.
Grother said.
That's better than my best case by a considerable margin, and I don't trust things that are better than my best case.
Your teeth are wrong for that meat,
Remo said.
Ours are wrong for yours. That is all this is.
Trent's head came up. Grother laughed. Once, more breath than sound.
I'll take that as a compliment and file it with the rest of the things I don't understand.
Grother said.
Send me the paper. I'll sign it before you finish talking.
There is one more line. You brace the frame while we pull. Your hands are rig. It costs you a day and it saves us 3.
Done.
Grother said.
That's done. And for what it's worth, son, that's the first sensible thing anybody's said on this band since we got here.
Remo closed the channel and put his hands back where they belonged. Behind him, Trent had turned all the way around in his seat.
So we just gave them the easy half,
Trent said.
We sold them the half we cannot carry.
Remo said, and did not look up. Sable had come onto the deck sometime in the middle of it, and she leaned on the hatch frame with her arms crossed and watched him fly.
That was a decent thing to do, hun,
she said.
It was the profitable thing to do,
Remo said. She let that be the end of it, because she knew him, and because Remo had already begun laying in the approach. They set anchors at the top of the shift. Sarn fired the first one himself, sighting the Bellwether spine a clean 2 meters off a seam, and the hard point punched in and bit. The line paid out behind it and drew taut when he set the tension. Then a second, forward, then a third, aft of the loading bay. The DeadLight came off her engines and rode against the dead hauler on 3 straight lines of tension, holding station on steel instead of fuel. Across the hull, the long odds did the same. Her rigger took 2 tries to seat the aft anchor. The gun had to be recharged between shots. Remo watched it from the flight deck and priced it, and said nothing about it. Hold 4 was 180 meters into the ship and 40 below the axis. The misfold had thrown the whole stack of it against a frame member on the way through, and the frame had bowed, and 8 years of nothing had left it exactly where it stopped. 60 tons of sintered ore casings, wedged and cold and utterly indifferent to who wanted them. You did not lift a thing like that. You did not shove it. You took the tension up a hair at a time and let it decide to move. Sarn ran the pull from the loading bay with a hand on the line, and his voice going out slow and complete on the open band, the way he did when words carried weight.
Long odds, this is Sarn on the DeadLight. I'm about to take up the slack on the main line. Do not put a hand on the frame while the line is coming taut. Tell me when your people are clear.
Grother here. My people are clear of the frame, and I have eyes on all 3 of them. Take up your slack when you're ready.
The line came taut. The whole wreck spoke through it, a long, low complaint that carried into the DeadLight's deck and up through the soles of Remo's feet. He held the ship still on her anchors and fed the rig its power in fractions. The stack shifted 4 centimeters and stopped. They worked it for 2 hours. Take up, hold, let the mass settle, cut a millimeter of the bowed frame away, take up again. Trent and one of Grother's hands braced plate on the low side, and Ofa rode the gap where nothing bigger than a dog could fit, and called the clearances in her clear paid-for voice, exact every time. At the 90-minute mark, the main line went hard in a way Sarn did not like.
All hands, this is Sarn. Stop work. Come off the line. I am backing the tension off to 0, and nobody touches anything until I say the words.
They came off. The tension bled down. A parted line under that load would crack through both hulls, and every soul on that band knew it. and nobody argued, and nobody made a joke. They reset the aft anchor a meter to port and started again from the bottom. It cost 40 minutes. It did not cost anybody. That was the 2 hours Remo spent looking at the long odds. He saw an anchor gun old enough to need 2 shots. He saw a suit on Grother's rigger with a seam patched flat down the thigh, a good patch, a careful patch, and a patch nobody's inspector would have signed. He saw a rig that had to be walked back through its own cycle by hand because it had no memory left to do it itself. And he heard Grother on the band through all of it, talking his arithmetic out loud into a ship with nobody in it, the hours, the burn, the day he owed them, and the day after that. Not once did Grother suggest stopping. Remo did not remark on any of it. He held the DeadLight dead still for 2 hours and 31 minutes. When the stack came free of the frame and started its long, slow drift up the throat of Hold 4, his hands moved on the boards before anyone had to say so. 60 tons came out of a dead ship without touching a living person. That was the job. Done right, it looked like nothing at all. Sable filed the extraction paperwork that evening while the crews were still stowing. She logged the ore casings by weight and the cell racks and the cut plate the long odds had taken, all of it clean against the guild manifest. Then, in the last field, against a fragment nobody had asked her about, she entered ballast, misc, and closed the file. The guild clerk at Colvane weighed the ore and read the assay, and named a number in the same flat cadence he used for everything, and it was thin, not red, thin. It cleared the break-even, and it cleared it by less than the cost of the 2 days they had spent arguing. Grother's band cue came in while the DeadLight was still at the pylon. It was short for him.
DeadLight. This is Grother. We're clear and we're paid and we're the right side of the line for the first time this quarter. I'll not make a speech about it. Fly well.
Fly well,
Sarn said, and that was the whole of it. Sarn paid out in the galley the way he always did, standing up and taking no longer than it took. Trent counted his aloud, because Trent counted everything aloud, though he did it quieter these days.
4 and a bit,
he said.
4 and a bit for 11 days. That's a share and a half of a good week, and we nearly ate it twice.
You are alive and solvent.
Cricket said.
Historically, deckhand, that is a strong quarter.
Ofa took hers and thanked Sarn by name. Sable took hers and did not count it. Remo took his without looking up from the ledger tab on his knee. The credits landed. Trent watched money the way other people watch weather, and he saw them land and he saw them go. It took under 2 seconds, 1 wire out, a destination code, 11 characters, nothing attached to it. The balance on Remo's tab read the same after as it had before he was paid.
Whoa! Hey!
Trent said.
That's your whole cut. Where's it going?
Remo stood up.
Investment,
He said. Then he went forward and put his hands on the boards and began laying in the burn for the fold limit. Nobody followed him. Sarn thanked the hull at the pylon, low, the way he did at every departure. Behind them the Bellwether was still out there in the dark, stripped now to her frames, worth a little less every year to whoever came next. The DeadLight lit her torch and leaned her nose for the charted point, and down came back, one steady gravity, and the week was over.